So this is absolutely glorious. Why? Because a certain party had all of their plans fall apart as everything, it backfires spectacularly. See, March 19th, barring any type of delays, I'm imagining there's going to be some anger. Why? Because a judge has repeatedly told a certain party that shall remain nameless to turn over documentation. Repeatedly. And yet they haven't turned over one single thing. That's right. All of this time with Virginia, and yet nothing has been turned over. Now, as far as what's being requested, too, I understand the desperation, and I understand the obstinance. I wouldn't want to turn this stuff over either, because some of the claims that have been put out there, this stuff, it will put them through the shredder. See, as far as these requests go, nothing, and I mean nothing is off limits. Talking about charity, for example, yeah, where'd all that money go, by the way? Inquiring minds, they do want to know. What about that op-ed that you wrote? You said that you didn't wrote. Well, can you turn over those drafts in communication? On and on. You have questions somebody doesn't want to answer. You and I, we're going to look at those, and we're going to talk about how this strategy that they were practicing, it might have well worked, except for that pesky little thing that we call timing. So hey there, to all you fine folks, by the way. Now, as far as this document goes, there's something hilarious tied up in it. And that's the fact that this strategy here, a stonewalling strategy, would have actually worked out for a certain nameless person if the trial would have stayed on date. Now, if you look at what this is saying, too, we're not going to review everything in the document, by the way, but we will review the beginning here. It's telling you that was the plan. It was the plan not to turn over anything at all. Quote, in a responses to JD's fourth request for production, that nameless person has taken the positions that are entirely indefensible and in a proper attempt to stonewall basic discovery. For instance, that nameless person asserted blanket objections to requests that merely ask for communications regarding her own claims to have been, you know exactly what those claims are, by the way, by JD, the central issue in the case. Now, what's fascinating about this is when they say that they're withholding documentation, they mean they're withholding everything. You can see it in number 3 here. She's produced no documents, as in she hasn't turned in anything at all. That, too, that was part of a strategy that would have worked, mind you, because even if a judge was mad, even if a judge would have sanctioned somebody, it would have still put JD and his team right up against the wall, because the original trial date was May 17th, 2021. Now, though, it's been moved to April 2022. So essentially what this does is not only make someone look desperate, but also open them up to fines and also maybe open production up even more than they originally wanted. Now, as far as what's being requested too, this stuff, it is absolutely fascinating. In fact, I love the request for production because it tells you the game plan. This game plan, it could be boiled down to a simple statement too. Put up or shut up. That's right. You made statements, so you need to back up those statements. And you know what? A certain party out there, I don't think they can back up a lot of what they state. For example, watch all of these come together and watch them turn into one narrative. Portions of your state and federal tax returns from 2010 to present, sufficient to reflect your gross income in each year from 2010 to present. How much money did you make from 2010 on? Then they want to build on top of that. They ask about documents and communications that evidence or reflect any film, movie, television, commercial, other project that you were considered and rejected for. So, anything that you went out, you were being considered for, and you got subsequently rejected for. We need documentation that proves that happens. Then it asks for documents sufficient to show your total actual or anticipated compensation for all of this stuff. How much did you actually earn? Then it asks all contracts that memorialize your professional involvement in any project, pretty much at all from 2010 to present. Then it gets into the reason for it. All documents and communication that evidence or reflect the impact your relationship with JD had on your reputation and or career. You know, because you said that this thing, it had a negative impact. And well, I'm imagining from 2010 on, you're going to see a lot of growth in that wallet. And the reason that wallet grows, was it somebody's acting prowess, or was it maybe their connection with that guy over there? I wonder indeed. We also heard about number 1, separation, and Number 2, the UK, impacting somebody's reputation and or career. And then we get to number 8. And I really like number 8 because it cuts to the crux of this thing. It talks about Washington Post article without mentioning it. It asks, all documents and communications that evidence or reflect the impact your allegations of, I'm going to call all of that DV, by the way, against JD on your reputation and or your career. Essentially, that was the claim in that article. Because I stepped out, because I started talking about this stuff, it's damaged me beyond repair. Really, I wonder, can you prove that? Do you have any documents or communications that reflect that is the reason why you lost anything? Or did you just put that in there because? Because I'm sure if you flip this over and JD's asked to produce something that proves these allegations, they hurt him, oh, I'm sure that he can prove that. Easily, anyone could. Now, as far as that idea goes, we always hear something added on to JD. It's always JD or his representatives did X, therefore bad things occurred. And that's what you're having challenged in number 9, number 10, and number 11. You have Adam Waldman brought up with public statements saying, can you prove that public statements by Adam Waldman, those damaged your career? Same thing here. Public statements by JD, they damaged your reputation or career. And here it asks, can you prove that you suffered damages as a result of any alleged statement by any of the two? Can you actually prove any of the stuff that you said? Now, as far as those claims go to, they go after direct statements. And I'm glad that they do this because there were certain ones that I would love to see challenged. For example, when we're talking about 200 Twitter accounts that supposedly weren't real people, yeah, it directly challenges that idea. Number 12 asks, hey, you know that false and defamatory smear campaign? Can you prove that it actually exists? Number 13, can you prove that said thing it actually did damages? And number 14, you remember that idea about JD and or his agents, quote, creating, coordinating, controlling, and or manipulating social media accounts created specifically for the purposes of targeting that nameless person? Can you prove any of that happened? You know, I wonder indeed. Now, I want to skip around a little bit because there's two other subjects that are fascinating here. Because remember, this person, they don't want to turn over anything related to these subjects. One of those subjects is turning over any drafts of your op-ed published in the Washington Post. They don't want to turn over anything regarding that Washington Post. Why? Because if they do, they have to turn over communications with the Washington Post, communications with the ACLU, and that, I think, is going to showcase some people behind the scenes, and it's also going to show that certain nameless person's involvement there was a lot more than they want to say. Basically, they are responsible for what was said there. Someone else, they didn't write it up for them. Now, last but not least is that pesky little subject called charity. And you know, all of the information that we know about charity, we know it because of the CHLA. We don't know it because of that nameless party. Well, what it's asking here, number one, you know, did you give money? What do you know about other monies being given? What did you get from this? How did this association with those claims actually help out your career? Basically, did you do what you claimed, or did you benefit from something that was out and out fraud? Now, what's fascinating about that, too, is you already know the answer. But it's going to be interesting to see the dance when it comes up. And that person, they don't want to show you that dance. They've tried to make sure that that stuff, it came up at the last minute. Nobody could plan around it. But you know what? That didn't work out. It didn't work out at all. This stuff, like I said, it is absolutely glorious. That plan, it fell apart spectacularly. Now you'll probably have things that you weren't going to see before. Yeah, they'll probably push forward. And well, I think somebody's going to feel a lot more emboldened. But anyway, let me know what you think about this stuff. And you make this stuff possible. I appreciate the heck out of you. I can't say that enough. Check out the links in the description too if you want to help out the channel. Share this stuff far and wide as well. You know that drill about feeding the algorithm. But yeah, you make this stuff possible. I want to end on that. Thank you. I appreciate the heck out of you. See you soon.